can I say this guitar is just kind of stupid? Okay, guys. I love this guitar. There's times where I don't like the pickup, and then there's times that I do like the pickup. That's a hard one to get the pull. There it was. Oh, this guitar, I could sit here, you kind of get lost in doodling. And just so you guys know, we are playing through a Friedman tonight. This is the Friedman. stupid playing guitar.
What tune is that at?
That's a very good question because I didn't plug in my tuner. 1 second. Let me plug it into my tuner. I think I'm down a half step. I'm pretty sure that I unplug it and plug it into the tuner. We're not playing through Linnell's amp tonight. Actually, we are at standard 440. I'm a little off. Let me oh, you can't see it. So there's my tuner. And there's our E. So I'm a little off of 440 standard tune. Just a little bit. Not too bad. I thought most of my guitars I set to D sharp, which is a half step down. I think the chords break up a little bit better. And your Trucker Bob picks on me a lot. You know, he plays in a lot of alternative tunings, drop C, D, and I get it. You know, the chords do have more power and grunge, but unless you play that music all the time and your guitar is set up for it, on these are 42 to 9s. If I go anything below drop, you know, if I drop D this, it gets a little floppy. You know, you almost have to go to maybe like a 10 to 56s, something like that, and you're going to get a little bit more bottom end just with that. But the thicker string, I think, works a little bit better. You know, we're not changing scale lengths, but I get it. You know, that some of these alternative tunings are cool, but everything I was just doing is, as you just saw, it's in a standard tune. So, oh, got to plug it back into the Friedman. Hold on, guys. Normally, I have the tuner plugged into Linnell's Yamaha amp. And this is the Friedman we're playing through. And yes, what you've been listening to is a little mini BE. A lot of it, guys, and it took me a long time to, and I used to hear people say this, and I guess, I'm going to use some colorful metaphors tonight. It's a family channel, but I believe with this 3-letter word, it's not even 4-letter words. The pompous ass people would come up to me and they would say, "Oh, you know, you're not attacking it right. The amp isn't going to have that sound. You've got to play that thing like you stole it, and that amp will come to life." And I'm kind of like, okay, I'm going to play it like I stole it, and I just didn't have it. And was it Nicholas that sent me the pics on?
Yep.
Nicholas sent me out of this channel. We have great subscribers. I call them members, even though there's no paid members, there's no tiers, there's none of that BS here. But we got some of the best subscribers. So Nicholas watched me play guitar, and he evaluated that what I needed was a stiffer pick, because I was playing really flimsy picks. And I'm trying to dig into this guitar, and the pick is flimsy. And I can't get the attack on the string because the pick is bending. And I didn't, you know, I was gradually going up thicknesses. because I used to play the orange Dunlop, the Tortex, and he was like, "Oh, go thicker." Well, I am. I went up to the yellow ones, and I just thought that was a stiff pick, you know. He sends me these Dunlops. Do I have a bag here? I have since bought a ton of these. Let me turn my amp off. This is what they are. They're the Flow Maxi Grip. And I mean, I bought the 1.5s and the 2s. Right now, I am playing I think this is a 2. No, this is a 1.5. So I'm playing a 1.5. And the difference in my ability to play since he sent me these picks has really pushed me. Things that even back when I played a lot, I struggled with. And I'm now starting to believe that it wasn't necessarily my attack, it was my pick. So a lot of people come to the channel and it's like, oh my gosh, this dude is just, he is beating the piss out of this guitar. And you can hear it because I don't turn off this microphone. The guitar would sound better if I turned off these microphones because you get a lot of the pick attack and stuff through the microphone.
Steve just gave you a super chat.
Ooh, thank you, sir.
He said, "Here's gas money to go to the hardware store to fix your loose screw on your Schecter." Because someone had asked if you had done anything with it yet, and I told him that you said you weren't going to fix it until you changed the strings. Yeah,
it's getting close. I'll play it tonight until the pickup hits the strings, and right now there's about 1/8 of an inch there, so it will eventually move if I continue to play it. But keep in mind that I played these thinner picks, and I'm really digging in, trying to get this guitar to sound a certain way, because these guys were like, you're not going to get that sound, loving that guitar like that. It's rock and roll. Play it. Be aggressive. Be aggressive when you play it. I mean, I am tearing that string up. Look at the strings when I play. I keep my thumb up and I roll my wrist. I'm not being gentle with the guitar. And now every bit of my wrist action is going right to that string. It took me, I would probably say 2 or 3 weeks to get used to the pick not deflecting. And now the pick rolls over the string instead of deflecting. And the pick would deflect, and then it would, you'd get a pick strike. But then as you went through it, the pick is bending. And then when it come off the string, you get like a secondary plink. You don't get that now because I had to modify my playing a little bit by pulling the pick up into I play like this, guys. I do not use this finger in picking. I play like this. And I roll the pick in like in this position. And you can hear when I mess up. When I choke the pick too much, I'll loosen up. It'll drag across, and it throws my cadence off. So I'm still learning it.
Timothy Davis says Dunlop James Hetfield White Fang custom guitar picks. Try them if you get the chance.
Write that down, honey, because again, thanks to Nicholas. I mean, I truly feel a lot of the things that I once struggled with. If someone would have beat me upside the head 25 years ago, before my fingers got worn out and before my wrists were the size of cantaloupes, okay, you can see I've broken my wrists multiple times. This hand here has had multiple fractures. I got it caught. It's lucky that I even have fingers. If you guys know what an industrial planer is, a dual-headed planer, it has 4 knives on the top drum, 4 knives on the bottom drum, and there's 2 tables, and it has pressure feed rollers, about 5 inches away from the knives. Yeah, I think this one maybe 6. And it's got pressure feed rollers. And what it does when you put the board in, it clamps down the boards both sides, and there's always what they call snipe. Snipe is when before the board gets to the pressure feed rollers on the opposing side of the head. So the board's not stable until it gets to the other pressure feed rollers. Those pressure feed rollers have to be adjusted because once it goes through the mill head, there's material lost. So the outfeed pressure feed rollers are at a closer distance to one another in relation to the forward ones. I am not paying attention. We're at the shop and I'm just running material. Just blap, blap, blap in the... Well, here's the pressure feed roller going across. What do? Yeah, I broke this bone, 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 and this bone. And you can see it in my wrist. See how it floats? The bone right here and the bone right here is at a 35-degree angle. Well, it's like 32. They will not put steel pins in since at the time, unless it was past that. They felt that it would heal and there wouldn't be a difference. So my bones actually, after they set it, okay, they did set it. I think it's about a 5 or 6 degree angle in the bone now. But when I went in, my wrist was like this. I don't see what the difference is. If I broke it and the bone's broke and it's stuck up at a 45-degree angle, what difference does it? The bone's broke. Whether it's a 10-degree angle and look at my wrist. It makes no sense. If you're a doctor, please explain this to me because you're going to reset it. So what difference does it make at what angle it's broke at? You're going to reset it. So it's got to break past. Anyway, so I got it caught in a pressure feed roller. So with all the injuries that I've had in my hands, if I went back 20 some years and just had the ability to listen to other guitar players and not kind of shrug it off as, okay, what I'm doing is getting me by. Maybe I'm not going to take a year and go back and maybe relearn my pick technique or relearn this or try to get this a little better. I'm doing okay, and eventually I'll work my way through it. And that was my philosophy. And now I kind of see if I would have just slowed down a little bit, I mean, everything, my picking speed, it just, instead of maybe, double picking, do single picking, instead of playing this. Just play it standard. And just went home and done this. Boring, right? It's boring. You're right. But it's teaching you how to keep that pick flopping across the string to where you don't have this much pick sticking out and you got it a quarter inch below the string and you're going. It needs to be to the point where it glides over the string and the angle of that pick. It all just comes together. One day, if you're struggling with something, it's just going to hit you and you're like, holy crap, I'm doing it.
Jupe says, Avery, you got to roll them bones, not break them.
You're right. I like Rush. Roll
And
the
Steve-
bones.
Steve said, just don't roll the ankles.
You know, guys, the past, you can ask Linnell, my knees, the past couple of weeks have been very, very sore. I had surgery on my right knee, about 2 years ago, hon?
Yeah.
About 2 years ago. And it's still very sore. Now my left knee is going out. It's just worn out picking up heavy stuff, lugging it around. You know, I'm not a big person. I weigh like 205. Okay. My bone structure, you could tell I'm not a big guy. I don't look like a bodybuilder with this big massive bone structure. So when I'm picking up something that's 20 or 30 pounds, like a pouch or something that's in the shop, and I'm carrying around an apron that's full of bolts and fasteners or whatever I'm carrying around, that extra load on your spine, your bones, and you're walking around on concrete, it takes your toll on you. The concrete's what gets you. Working in a shop environment, it's concrete floor. And you're constantly on it.
Nicholas said, Avery, make sure you practice with the 2.0, then go back to the 1.5. You'll be very impressed.
Yeah, I got the 1.5 here, and look right here, I got the dark one. Here's the 2.0, and those are the two picks that stay on top of my desk right here.
And
so I do have both.
Steve wants to know if you asked Sweetwater about wing headphone jack.
Well, on that note, guys, watch this. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna hit the button for the other camera. There's the other wing rack. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna say. All right. Why have one wing rack when you can have two wing racks for twice the price? No, I didn't buy another one. I called and tech support was stupid nice. You gotta understand, I don't know a lot of the terminology and stuff like that.
You got a super chat from Searcher for Tone. He said, lift with your knees.
If I lift with my knees now, I'll be face first. I think I'm past that, Brian. As much as I wish, isn't that awful? I'm really struggling with it. But anyway, I called into Sweetwater, and I've only had one bad experience with Sweetwater, and they made it right. And my bad experience with Sweetwater was they sent me a guitar that I feel was substandard for what I paid for it. Everyone works hard for their money, And for me, a $1,500 guitar needs to be a pretty darn good guitar. You can go back and watch my Ibanez PWM 20, and everyone knows I talk highly of Ibanez. They're a good company. Brian sent me a Jim. It had some issues, but I tell you what, when I was done with that guitar, it was nice. So Brian's neck had some issues, like it just kind of, it was a miss at the factory. My PWM had a couple issues, blemishes in the chrome finish. It was like a smoke chrome. You know, that someone at Ibanez should be able to go, hey, this pickup ring is blemished. You know, hey, this fret's got a ding in it. You have to go back and watch it. Am I being really, really picky? Yeah. The only thing that may have caused an issue and I could have fixed was the little ding in the fret. Everything else was just kind of cosmetic crap. The truss rod cover was crooked. I'm like, okay, it's a $1,500 guitar. This isn't a $300 or $200 budget instrument. It's a $1,500 guitar.
Mr. Fats wants to know if the Sweetwater Plex program is any good.
It's not Sweetwater. It's who's running the machine. You know, a Plec can only do what the operator can make it do. A Plec machine is stupid. A CNC machine is, they're stupid machines. If you have a bad operator, it doesn't matter how good the program is that scans the machine. The operator still has to go in and make crucial decisions on how that machine is going to crown your frets. Now here's the part that a lot of people don't realize. All the Plec is doing is a basic crowning, because it's using a very small bullnose bit, which is kind of rounded. And let's pretend, okay, this is your fret, okay? So it's going to do a couple passes back and forth. Now it's a bullnose bit. You can't mill something this shaped in a circle, because when you cut your diameter, your cutter this way, when it spins, it cuts into the surface. So the only thing you do is use a bit that's shaped like this to cut something like this. So that means, now this is going to get complicated. If I've got a fret and here's my mill, how can I, if I've got a ball end fret, this mill, see how it's changing where it's making contact? If I'm dead under the fret, it's going to touch right dead center of the mill. But as soon as I get off center, notice it's no longer in the center of the mill. Okay, and as I come around, it starts hitting the side of the bullnose mill. You only have X amount of room because it's flat with a round over. And it has to go back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. And it creates a crown, just like when Gibson in their CNC machine does the arc on the top of the body. It's doing 1,000 passes. Vroom, 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 vroom. And it's step over. A step over is how far does the machine go in the y-axis or x-axis before it goes back over its routine. Then it steps over, goes back over the routine. And some people, even though it's coming back and you're no longer, it's no longer a forward engagement, it's a reverse engagement, they'll do a half step over. So let's say your step over is a 32nd of an inch. They might step the machine over a 32nd, okay, and then or a 64th, and then come back on the engagement cut a 32nd. But every time, keep in mind, it's a mill. It's a bullnose. So you're not milling a flat surface. You've got this all the way down the guitar body. Well, that's what that Plec is doing to your fret. Your fret's supposed to be shaped this way. This is your fret. Well, you don't have that. You've got this. That's what you got. And the more radius that's on that bit and the less passes it makes on that fret and the larger the step over, the worse that is on the fret. So when it comes out of the machine, people go, oh, it's plucked, it's great. Now it's awful because now you've got all these little semicircles in your fret. Now a man or a woman, doesn't matter, a person has to go back and dress those frets and crown them. Because the low spot, okay, it's doing this all the way over the fret. The low spot is where you need it to be. You've got to remove all those high spots. So is it any more accurate than someone like me taking their time and leveling the frets with a beam and then going over it with a crowning file? With the crowning file, I'm taking it from a squared, it might be, this is your fret. Now you've put a flat spot on it. Well, now you got to take these two corners out without removing the top part of the crown. Which is better? The plek could be perfect. The tech running the plek could have it down to a science. He pulls it out of the plek, he goes over and he sets it at someone else's table. They still have to dress the ends of those frets and they still have to crown them. Don't let them, and if they're not, then they're really doing you a disservice because it's an end mill bit in that machine. It has to be. It can't be, well, it's a bullnose bit, not an end mill. End mill square. It has to be a bullnose bit. So when you run that bullnose bit across it, it makes little scallops. You've got to remove those scallops. So that means someone still has to physically go over that fret. You could have the world's best plek, but the tech on the back side that's doing that dressing, and they are crowning it. They're going to call it a dressing. The machine crowned it. We're just dressing it. No, you've got to crown it. You can spend hours with sandpaper. They're going to run a crowning file a couple times across that fret. They are. And then they're going to go back over it with sandpaper. You can watch my videos. Whenever I do that, what's the first thing I do? I go back with my fret rocker and I double check my work. In every step, I double check my work. As soon as I'm done crowning, I double check it with the fret rocker. As soon as I'm done my first pass sanding, what do? I double check it with a fret rocker. When I'm done polishing, what do? I double check it with a fret rocker. Why? Because everything that you do, you are removing material off of that fret. And also keep in mind, a fret rocker is only checking 3 frets. Okay? If you're off, let's say, 2/1000ths of an inch, that fret rocker is not going to detect it. But 2/1000ths of an inch over 30 inches is a lot. So when I hear people go, oh, the neck's got to be straight before you put a fret, they are so full of BS. You got to have a lot of neck relief. When I say you'd have to have a tremendous amount of neck relief before that's going to cause a problem with your fret rocker, showing an issue.
You want to get back to the wing?
Oh, yeah. All right. But anyway, if you got a good tech, let the tech do it. If you know Sweetwater and you trust them, I hear they do good work. The plek only does, we're going to say the plek does 30% of the work. Because the tech still has to crown, do the end dressing, finish sand, and polish. So here's the plek. So it's doing one thing out of 5 steps. So is it bad? Here's how I want you to look at it. I can have bad days, okay? Maybe I had an argument with Linnell, which you've never had. The first time we have an argument and I go downstairs, I'm working on somebody's guitar. My head's not in it. Is it going to be a good job? The advantage to the plek, it never has a bad day. It's the exact same employee. It's the happy little employee. It's there every day at the same time, and it works until quitting time. It's not worried that it's not quite done and it's supposed to meet its buddies over at the plek bar for a beer. It's going to finish its job, and it's going to be happy. And the next day, it's going to do the exact same thing. There's no emotion involved. There's no stress. It's a machine. That machine has what I call repeatability.
Steve said, so the Plek only really does the level. That's stupid.
Pretty much it. I mean, it does crown it, but keep in mind, it's not a crown like you're thinking. The crown, it has little concaves on it all the way around. And you'll watch it. It'll go zit, 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 and it's on one fret. That's what it's doing. It's making multiple passes across the fret and around it. Because it has to. It's a bullnose. So now you end up with these little scallops. Now, they're very fine. They are. They're very fine. But you're still either going to have to sand it or fret file it and then sand and then polish. If you don't, you're going to have little lines going through your frets. If Brian can tell you, if he really looked at the frets at that gym that I sent him, there were no tooling marks in those frets. Those frets were, but to do that, you've got to step down in your sandpaper. That's why about the most aggressive paper I use down in the shop, I think I have some 600, but I very rarely use it. I'm usually right around 800. And for me, that's aggressive.
So as far as the wing, some people have had heard mixed reviews. How is it?
You're talking to a layman. So far I love it. I'm coming from the analog world where you had to use insert cables and you had to have rack mount units. You come out of an insert cable to an effects unit, back in, limited to 4 subgroups. You're limited to how many aux sends you had. You're limited to a sweepable EQ. The wing rack has none of those problems. I can delegate any output to an aux. I can send that aux out and bring it back if I want to do outside processing, and still use my rack mount stuff. I can. But the advantage, let me turn my other camera on. So, this whole rack is full of digital processors, line amplifiers, patch bays, EQ, all that. Okay. The wing rack takes place of everything in that rack times 40. And the reason I say that is you have plugins. So if I want to use a sweepable EQ on channel 1, I could just pick a sweepable EQ. If I want a parametric EQ, I can use a parametric EQ. If I want to use a high-low shelf and I want to adjust the shelf and the frequency crossover rate, I can. With the Mackie, it's just a low cut and a high cut. I can't bring it in. I can't narrow the band. I can't widen it. It's fixed. This, if I hit high shelf, I turn a knob. I can bring the high shelf in. I can let a little bit more high pass, or I can cut more of the low out, or I can let more low pass. I can do that and then still use a sweepable mid. Basically, what a sweepable mid is you pick your frequency, okay? You're going to sweep it. That's what it's called. It's mid frequency. You pick the frequency, and then you boost it or cut it. So what a lot of people do is they boost. They sweep that mid until something starts to feed back, and they go, okay, that's the problem child frequency. So then they cut it. Especially if you're trying to find a feedback problem. You're going to sweep that until it disappears, or it gets worse. You're going to crank that up and you're going to sweep it. You can pick. Now let's talk about effects. It's got delays, choruses, compressors, gates, phasers, flangers, EQs, halls, plates. It's got all this crap. Okay, if I apply a plug-in to channel 1, I still have that exact same plug-in in channel 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 48. It's not just 48 channels. It's 48 stereo channels. So it's actually a 96 channel board in stereo. So if I want to apply one effect, okay, I'm only coming in on channel 13, but it's stereo. I can apply a delay on the left, okay, and then put my dry signal on the right if I want. Or I can put my modulation effects on the left And you see where I'm going with this? And you can use it like a wet dry mix, even though it's stereo. You can apply it to both, but you don't have to. In the Mackie, I would have to tie up 2 channels and use 2 subgroups to do that. It's crazy. Now, how durable is it? I have no clue. I know my Mackie lasted 30 years, and it still works. It's just got dirty pots and dirty sliders. Is this going to be around in 30 years? I don't know. But I know what this thing has in this 4U box. I would need 48 digital signal processors with reverbs, delays, and stuff. I would need, well, it's got 24 inputs without the expansion rack. So let's just say we got 24. I can only use 24. I would need 24 digital signal processors, 24 channel strips, 24 mic preamps, 24 limiters, 24 compressors, 24. Can you imagine the rack of effects and processing power that you would, and it's all in a 4U unit? Is it the best? I don't know. I know for $1,800, holy mackerel, what that thing does. I mean, asking me, guys, is kind of like, I think it's wonderful right now. I really do. I really struggled learning the signal path in it, and that was just because I'm old school. Once my little squirrel brain understood what it was doing, I'm like, holy crap, this is stupid simple. Now I'll look at it and go, why did it take me 4 days? I would plug so I couldn't get a signal out of it. I'm not lying. For 4 days, I could not get multiple signals to come through. I was assigning a channel to the main. And then when I go to assign another channel, it would drop my first channel. I was doing it completely wrong because I thought, okay, I need to assign. And the flow doesn't work that way in it. At first, I thought it was backwards. When I finally figured it out, I'm like, well, this is kind of backwards. But now I do it, and I don't even think about it because it's actually more user-friendly than what I was used to. But I was so used to thinking of things as in, out, in, aux, send, return. I would send out on an aux and come back to another channel. Well, you don't have to. If you don't want to, I can go out and then return it in the unit to a subgroup and then blend mix it in. And there's just so much stuff, guys. I've been watching, I'm at work and I'll play it. I found a couple really good YouTube channels that have some pretty good content on it. And I can't necessarily watch it, but I can hear the gentleman talking about how he's routing the signal and what he's doing and why he's doing it. And for me, that's what I need. But right now, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have called Sweetwater. I had a problem with the input jack on the front. Sweetwater sent me another one. And I told him, I said, look, I do live streams. It's going to be hard for me to send it. He goes, no problem. We'll send you another one. And when you get it, unplug your old one, stick it in this box, and send it back to us. I mean, what else could I want? I mean, it's a brand new one right there. So tomorrow night, I'll take it out of the box. I'll install it. I'll hook up all my cables. I'm going to make sure that all the jacks are good. And then I'll package this one up and send it back to Sweetwater. I can't complain because there's no shipping. They're covering all the shipping. There was no questions asked. It was, are you sure that this is a problem? Because I was having multiple problems. And even though I was returning it and swapping it, he was like, look, before the new one comes, I want you to try these things because you're having an issue. Now, tonight, I've got a new issue because I switched amplifiers. So I need to figure out what's going on. The Yamaha, we were getting a click, 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 due to a switching transformer. That's what was causing it. When I changed my USB cable that goes into the Yamaha, 99% of it disappeared. And I've already talked to them. They make special shielded cables because my computer is right here. The wing rack is there, and the Yamaha amp is right there. And the computer has a switching power supply in it. And I've got power cables galore under the desk with audio, signal cables. It's a mess. So as much shielding as you can get, that's what you need. Did I have a problem with the Mackie on that? I didn't. I asked him about that. And he said the digital stuff is more prone to interference than the analog stuff. And I agree. I instantly had problems with that. So some of your cables that if you're analog, you may have to switch. I also actually have the wrong Cat cables too. I have Cat 8 cables. And he told me specifically, Behringer recommends Cat 5E shielded cable, bonded ground. Don't do Cat 6, don't do Cat 7, and don't use Cat 8. Even though Cat 8 is the super heavy duty maximum transfer, that's not what it's designed to use. And there's been reported problems. Behringer says 5E or 6. Well, I don't have that. I've got Cat 8 cables. So once I do that, that problem will be solved. Now, why does Wing Edit not work? Well, you can't plug the Wing with an Ethernet cable directly into your computer. It will not communicate. You have to have a hub, okay? It's not your router hub. You have to have a network hub. The computer goes to the network hub and the Wing goes to the network hub. Then they can communicate. I don't know why, but it will not communicate directly to the computer. It has to be, I guess, like a subnet mask. That's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing you gain by adding a router would be the subnet mask. I don't know. That's just what he was telling me. Something about the subnet mask or the router. I haven't been able to try that yet, and the unit's already here. I know it works because 50,000 other people have the Wing and they use Wing Edit. I can't get it to work because I tried plugging the Wing into my router, my wireless router, which is not right, and then the computer was wireless. I never plugged the computer into that. He said they recommend a dedicated router. Plug the 2 units into that and it'll work. I don't know. These are the problems that I had with the unit that's very vague on the Behringer website. But my opinion of it right now is I don't think you can find anything at $1,800 that has the power that this thing has. Just the ability to do what I'm doing tonight. Okay, this little mini that I'm playing through has no effects. So keep that in mind. There's no effects in the mini. Okay, what you're hearing, I've got my guitar and it's plugged. Here, let me change cameras. So here's my guitar and you can see it's plugged right into the little mini head. There it is. Okay. I'm coming out of the mini head into my new X Pulse, which is my cabinet simulator. Okay. And I've selected 4 greenback Celestions and that's it. It goes into the wing rack. The effects you hear are plugins that have been assigned to those channels that's coming into. I mean, for what I'm doing, I can live with that all day long. And I'm saying it because I'm a tube guy. That is one hell of a tube amplifier right there. There are 5 tube preamplifiers in that rack, and I'll stack them. I got a ProVal with 6 L6s on it. It's a hell of a tube amp, but that's a lot of stuff. And I got a cabinet, so that's noise in the room. I can't sit here and talk to you as I play, because this microphone only picks up my pick attack. There's no guitar in the room. Without these, I can't hear the guitar. Linnell's in there, all she hears is she doesn't hear the guitar. That's all she just hears me picking, because she doesn't have headphones, so she doesn't get a mix of what you guys hear. All she hears is me picking away to a guitar that's unplugged. It's great. Go back and watch our first streams when you could see microphones on my cabinets. Did it work? Sure, it worked. But I had to turn the amp down to where it didn't bleed into this one. Everyone knows a tube amp it's got to be driven to sound right. This little BE right here, this is a solid state, I guess, emulation of that. I'm pretty sure it's solid state. It's not a modeler or digital. It's probably just like the Friedman pedal that they crammed in a box and put a little Class D amplifier in. That would be my guess. I come out of that. I'm coming out of the send of the effects loop of the BE. So I'm bypassing the power amp out of the send right into my new X Pulse into the wing. That's a hell of a sound. I bought that thing for 99 bucks. So if you've got a wing and you're able to do what I'm doing, got a $99 little desktop head, and I paid $79 for the little NuX pedal, and it's plugged directly into the back of the wing. No DI box, no nothing. Plugged right into you see it, right into the Friedman, out of the effects send, into the NuX Pulse, directly into the wing rack. And I'm running 2 effects on the wing rack. To me, just that ability in itself is worth the buy-in. Not only that, before, like Linnell, I didn't have a channel strip for Linnell. I had one channel strip. Now I had compressors, limiters, and a mic preamp, tube mic preamp, but I would have to run her through 3 units, okay? And it's all the way over there, and then into the other unit for her to have a gate, a little compression, just to take the noise out of the kitchen, whether the fan or the heater turned, whatever. I don't have to worry about any of that. This microphone that's behind me, it's gated and everything just like this microphone. I'm not using any of my rack stuff now that's in the rack. It's not that I don't like it. I still use my rack effects here because it's a rack amp. But everything in the unit over here now, it become moot. I mean, the power and what it does, and I have bought nothing extra. This is what comes with the unit. If you want to buy this unit, there's all kinds of stuff, plugins and stuff that that are compatible with it. You can get, you know, subscriptions to where you just have so much crap that this thing would run and do. It would be limitless, if that makes sense. So I mean, that's how I feel about the wing rack. We'll
Back,
we'll just have to see how it holds up.
Backwoods Billy says Avery's EQ pedal 10. He said, in my opinion, EQ helps shape tone.
It does. And again, you don't need that. It's all built in. So let me show you my EQ curve on the wing rack for the guitar. It's up right now. So right here is our EQ curve on the guitar. That's my EQ curve for the guitar. See, it says rack amp. Okay. I didn't want to set up another channel before the stream, so I just came. Normally we use this pulse. Okay, you can see the pulse here. This pulse was being, I was coming out of the rack amp on the other side of the room into the pulse and then in. Well, I needed the pulse for cabinet emulation with the Friedman. So I just plugged the Friedman in here. So I'm using the rack amp channel. So if you look, if we go to effects, right here on this channel, channel 13, there's no effects because I have to come out on 2 mono stereos. So if I go to 14, here's our effects. That's what I'm using on the effects. This is a modulator, 1 chorus, and a filter. That's it. And notice my EQ is on a completely different channel. So 14 is dry. There's no EQ on 14. It's only on 13. So I'm only EQing half the signal. You're still hearing the basic guitar, the dry, okay, on that channel. So the channel that's being EQ'd also has no effects on it. Keep in mind, each channel stereo. So that means I have 4 signals. Does that kind of make sense? And when you apply 14, when you go to 14, and we apply anything that has depth or delay, now you've got 4 signals. These other 2 signals are going to be a little bit behind your other 2 signals. What's that do? That's going to add thickness. That's going to add, that's going to add a lot of thickness to your sound. That's what it's going to do. Now, before anyone saw, he's post-processing. I don't want to hear it. Everybody does. You're just processing before it goes into the amplifier. Is this post-processing? Is it? I mean, this amp, I got a preamp, my guitar goes into it, I come out of the effects loop into my effects processor, then my line tube, then my BBE back into this, okay, to the EQ, down to the power amp, and then the speakers. So I'm not processing that signal? Well, sure I am. The only difference here is I'm processing it after I've done my cab emulation. That's the only difference. Now, I don't have to. I could go Friedman directly in, do my processing, my reverb and delay, send that out on an AUX send into the pulse, back into the unit to you. Would it make a difference? I'm sure it would make some kind of difference. What kind of a difference? I don't know. Would it be better? Possibly. I don't know. I haven't tried it that way. But that's how I'm running this one, which is backwards. Because my amp is, the speakers are here. The amp is here. My processing is happening before power. But in this scenario, there is no power. There's no power amp. So I get no tone from the power amp. It's an emulated cabinet. And then I'm applying my reverb and my delay afterwards. I don't believe in that, if that makes sense. Am I cheating? Well, every professional musician I know cheats them. Because anytime you can split your signal and create thickness, I mean, what's that guy? I forget. Well-known artist plays with like 15 or 20 different amps on the stage because every amp has a different sound. I forget the guy's name. Very talented player. But he'll play 3 or 4 amps will be live at one time. And they're pointing in different directions. Some of the amps will be dry. Some of the amps will have effects. That's what he's doing. He's getting all his dry signal here. Maybe this amp is all, wet. And he's kind of blending the two together. Maybe this one's got more highs and this one's got more lows. And by the time it's all said and done and it bounces off wherever he's playing, it just creates this wall of sound. That's basically what I'm doing. And I tell people all the time, I mean, I love my amp, and Linnell just bought a amp. But if I was starting right now, I would not waste my money on an amplifier. I am really starting to change my opinion on amplifiers. I love my amp, but I got way too much money in that amplifier. I got way too much money in this amplifier. So all I technically need is a guitar. I could buy a guitar, have me a little distortion pedal, okay, have a cab simulation pedal, and some kind of mixer with my effects, and there you go. Or not even that, do guitar to a Line 6 stomp to a powered PA speaker. Buy one. When you get a little extra money, maybe buy another speaker, and then you can go out stereo. Then get yourself a small mixing board, whether it's a Soundcraft makes a little digital board, or you want a little Mackie, an analog, whatever. Then you can tie all your other stuff in, and then you've got something that you can go out and be a one-man band with. I would build the system that way and not even fool with a guitar cabinet. Is there a difference? I've said it. I think this amp's a little warmer. It has a little bit different feel under my fingers. I can't justify the price difference. To get into an amplifier like this, you're in the $8,000 area. That's what it's going to be $8,000 or $9,000. Just the Friedman, the Synergy unit is $1,700. Now you want a 6L6 rack mount power amplifier? Well, there's $2,000. Now you're going to have to find some kind of digital processor in today's world. You could probably pick up a pretty decent used unit, maybe an M3 or an older H6000 or 7000 for maybe $1,500, $2,000. I mean, it really gets expensive quick. Now you got to have a cabinet. I don't plan on playing anywhere where I need that anymore. I don't. I'm really struggling with it, guys. I love my amplifier. I like the way it sounds, but when I come home, I don't play that. I plug into Linnell's little THR, or this little Friedman, or my Line 6 Stomp, and I go right into my mixing console, into my power amplifier, into my control room monitors. 99% of the time, that's what I'm playing guitar through. This channel's about honesty, and that's my honest opinion right now. Would I ever sell my amplifier? No. Would I ever sell my Egnator? Right there. Absolutely not. That Egnator kicks butt. When I want that jazz sound, I plug my hollow body or my Nashville Strat into that thing, and it's like it sings. I can't. I'm not saying you can't. I haven't figured out how to get the digital stuff. Like the Yamaha sounds good. I can get a really kick butt clean sound with this Yamaha. Once I play around more with the Yamaha, maybe take some of the cheaper effects out of the Yamaha and just go dry into the wing rack and apply some of the upscaled effects that the ring rack has, I might be able to get a really nice clean sound.
Kurt said he would buy an in-ear monitor before he would buy speakers for live.
You're 100% correct. I don't know how the Line 6 works, but you're going to have to come. You could probably come out of the headphone jack of the Line 6 stomp to the little transmitter for the in-ear monitor for yourself, and then still go out of the mains to front of house. I'm assuming. When I played out, there was no such thing as that. I mean, we had wireless microphones and wireless guitars. This is a sped spectrum technology relay unit. It's stupid nice.
Devastator said break time.
Yeah, it is break time. I could tell it. You're right. I would do that. But there's something about even that. I don't know how that would feel in my ears. I know I've heard people say that as long as you have that piece and they pour something in your ear and they mold it to where it fits in your ear, and then the unit fits in that. I don't know what you call it. It's like a mold, and they mold the earpiece to fit your ear. They make a casting of your ear. I think as long as you could do that and it felt comfortable, that would probably be a heck of a way of doing it. But if it's something that clips on and it's going to irritate my ear, that would be really buggy. Like my last set of headphones used to bug. After about an hour, I was constantly shifting them around. These are far better, but they're still not 100% comfy. Like I must have big Dumbo ears or something, because my ear rubs the inside part of the padding on the back. I probably just need to spend more money. But I do notice that these are Mackie. I had Tascams before. I think the Mackie are far more accurate, because I can listen to the guitar in the room here, and I've been going back listening to the stream. It's more accurately reproducing what you guys are hearing. These before, I would go, wow, that guitar sounds good, and I go back and listen to the stream. I'm like, it's bright. And then I would go, oh, the reverb and stuff is just, but it didn't sound like I had too much. These seem to really do a good job of reproducing what you guys are hearing at an affordable price. I think these were like $80. And that's cheap in today's standards for headphones. So I'm sure if I bought a really nice pair, that would tremendously help. But I'm doing things on a budget. We're doing a stream. YouTube is compressing it. There's only so much I can do. But you should really, guys that have been watching the channel, please type in, is the sound of the guitar and the audio better now? Now notice I've got a lot of distance between me and the microphone. There's a lot. Even Linnell should be more, right up in your face.
I'm in your face.
See what I mean? More smack than it used to be. So I think it's a logical step. Everyone's really picky when they pick on YouTube. They're like, oh, this guy's got crappy cameras. Oh, I hear the traffic in the background. Oh, that amplifier sounds awful. I don't I mean, I get it. But at the same token, everyone is on a journey. And depending on where you are in that journey is going to be what kind of equipment you have. I'm just saying, before you invest a ton of money in a head and a 4-speaker cabinet, if you're thinking about buying a Friedman head and a Friedman cabinet, or a Sedano head or a Diesel head, save yourself some money and don't do it. Just don't. You're better served taking that money and buying something a little different, okay? And starting out the way I was talking, okay? Especially if you're just learning. Your ears and your playing technique is not involved enough to hear the nuances between a hot-rodded Sedano and a Diesel. Is there a difference? 100%. And that talented artist playing those two, they can demonstrate those distances. Can this guy? Probably. I don't know. Maybe. Could I get 100% out of it? Probably not. What's the old saying? Once you get to a certain point, if you want it to be 2% better, double the price. If you want it to be 3 or 4% better, quadruple the price. there becomes a point where it's diminishing returns. And we look at that on guitars as well. At what point is it diminishing returns? When you invest money, do you stop getting value and the dollar amount goes up, but what you're getting extra becomes less and less and less?
Mr. Fat says the guitar playing segment sounds professional on the same level of when I listen to heavy metal on YouTube. Sounds like studio level. Avery has a solid setup.
Yeah. I'm really trying, guys. And I know my microphone, and you can hear it. Talk for a little bit, Linnell.
Oh, now you're going to make me talk. Normally I just, spit out whatever.
If you listen to her microphone, it's more direct. Okay? This is a good microphone, but she has an Audio Technica. Okay? And when I went to Shenandoah Music, they told me about that mic. They said, look, it's $150. And I'm like, yeah, I just want something better than what I got. And they said, okay, here, buy this SA mic. It's a great mic. It's $99. But I can hear the difference. That microphone,
I'm special.
that microphone is just a little clearer. In the mid, that's where your vocal range is. It's a little crisper. This mic is a little bit more boomier, if that makes sense. It's more bass friendly, and I find that it's a little chirpy, if that makes sense, even though you guys can hear it. Her microphone for $50 more, in my opinion, just works better in the vocal range. And that's nothing bad. I love both of these mics. Can you fix it? Absolutely. I could go in and tweak the EQ a little bit and get this mic to sound as good as the Audio Technica. But if you start with a really good signal, okay, and the less you have to modify and EQ something, the better off you are. Truly. When you start, the more you screw with your signal, EQing and cutting and this or that, especially in the band that you're on, we're not talking about a low cut and a high cut. The more you start doing it, the more muddy and more crap you're introducing to the signal, if that makes sense. You kind of, that's why I always tell people, look at how I have mine set up. I have two signals. One is being EQ'd and the other signal path is not being EQ'd. So if I want a 5% increase at 100 megahertz, what do I have to do? I have to increase the other channel 10%.
Mikey said, do you have anything cheaper?
Do I have anything cheaper than these? I was using 57s. If you go back and watch the very first stream, I think we're using Beta 57 instrument mics. And it sounded like I was talking, they were instrument mics. And I was like, wow, that really sounds bad. But I was using Beta 57s. Yeah, you do what you can do with what you have. And I went into Shenandoah, and like I said, they said, this is a great mic for $150. And I'm like, don't have $150. I got 105. So for $105, they sold me a great mic. Is it as nice as Linnell's? I like Linnell's a little better. So hold on, especially if we're talking $50, guys. Don't do what I did. Just if you don't know and you trust your store, and I trusted them. I just didn't have it. I should have said, okay, I'll be back in 2 weeks because I get paid every 2 weeks. I should have waited 2 weeks, took $50 out of my next check and went in and say, okay, now I want that mic.
Oh, Mikey said, I guess he meant, do you have anything cheaper than the mics?
Anything cheaper than the mics? The NuX Pulse was $79. And I've got a bunch of Joyo pedals up here. And I was going to do a whole series of budget pedals. It just seems like all those pedals are extremely noisy. They introduce just a tremendous amount of noise in your signal path. The only one that I really like, they make a Dr. J Lancelot distortion. If you can still find it, I truly love this pedal. And it took place in my Ibanez TS9. It's a stupid good pedal. And you can find them for about $60 when you can locate them. And this is made by Joyo. A great pedal. It's got the boost, and you can change your diode, okay? And then clipping diode, and then your boost on how it functions. It's a great little pedal. Two buttons, so you can just use your boost or you can use the distortion. I stopped using my TS9. Other than this, every other Joyo pedal that I've had the opportunity to play through just introduce a lot of noise. It's a cheap pedal. If you just want something cheap and you want chorus, okay, they work, and I think they work really well for cheap. But if you put four, and believe me, using one, it's not too bad. You put 3 or 4 of them things in series, by the time it gets to your amplifier, you've got a train wreck. It's okay. You got one Joyo pedal, it's not going to do too bad. You put 2, you'll start to hear it. 3, 4, it's like, okay. It's just because of how it's made. It's not a JHS pedal. You can put a bunch of those or an MXR or a Strymon. You're paying for those. But you can buy every Joyo pedal ever made for the cost of one Strymon. So the old saying, you do get what you pay for, and that's what kind of takes us back. Diminishing returns. At what point do you stop getting more for what you spent? And that's what this channel's about. We try to educate one another. Hey, I bought this. It was inexpensive. It's low noise. It sounds great. It does what I needed to do, and this is what I play.
It's break time.
Yeah, it's definitely break time, guys. If you don't know, you did not have to be a subscriber to chat. I want you to come in. I need your all's opinions, okay? That's what it's about. It's about coming in and saying, I bought this, and this, and this, and this, and this is what I use it for, and I find it great. It's everyone coming together and talking, okay? I'm telling you about my system, and then you guys interject and say, well, this is how I'm doing what Avery's doing, or I approach it this way, or I approach it that way, just like what Kurt said, and some other people that have made comments. That's what we need, because just because I'm doing it this way, there's 50,000 other ways of doing it, and another way might be a better way of you doing it for your particular system, if that makes sense. All right. Please go down, hit the like button if you haven't already. Please subscribe. It takes a tremendous amount of work to do a channel on YouTube. I don't consider it work coming in here and talking to you guys, but it is. It is work in a lot of ways. And I want to say thank you to the moderators, to the little people with the blue wrenches, and Devastator, which I'm sure he's been commenting.
I don't know. It looks more like I got a blue shield, not a wrench.
He's our Discord manager. So he's the guy that does and runs the Discord forum for us. If you haven't already, I'm sure there's already been a link posted. Please go over to Discord and join the fun over there. And we always take a 5-minute break in the middle. That allows you to hit the restroom, get some treats, and, take a break for 5 minutes. It also allows you to post new topics in the chat. So everyone, new topic. Please post what you want to go over. Go get a snack, hit the restroom, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Okay, guys. Um, Now here's one of the things that I want to talk to you about before we move on to the next topic. We were just doing a demo with the Friedman Mini BE. So here's the funny honey. And this guy, he's henpicked. Okay, guys. Oh. Here's one of the
Wait a minute.
things that I want to talk to you about
Oh shit!
before we move on to the next. That's an oopsie. She had her feet on her phone and her microphone picked up. That's the delay. So on the system that I'm using, these are the issues that you have to overcome. I'm gonna unmute channel 13. Okay. Now I'm gonna unmute channel 14. Do you hear that?
What's a good set of headphones that are cheap?
I just got these Mackies. I don't know what model number these were. Oh, it's an MC250. And I'm kind of liking them. They're very comfy, and they don't sit like this. My Tascams felt like right here there was more pressure down here, like they were squeezing in. These seem to fit and adjust this way, and the pressure's more even on my head. I just wish the round part here was a little bigger.
Mikey's looking at $100 or less.
These are under $100. I think these were what, 79 bucks?
I think so.
75, 79 bucks. But it's MC 250. And I'm liking them. Like I said earlier, I've noticed that what I hear here versus what I go back and listen to the stream, it's more accurately represented in these than the Tascams that I had. And the Tascams I had were a little less money than these. And again, I just went into the store and I asked them, and I forget what was the other pair, Audio Technica?
Yeah, I believe so.
He had two pair, and I told him the issues I was having, and he said, look, they're both great, but these I feel are just a little more comfy on my head, because he used them. And I said, well, that's what I'm looking for, because sometimes we stream for 3 hours, and I got these things on my head for 3 hours. He goes, I would get the Mackies. And I'm like, okay. So far, I'm liking them. I like the ridge part, okay? That's up here. It's got a little pad on the top part here. And I like this mechanism right here a lot better than the Tascams. The Tascam would turn and then get backwards. I have not had that problem with these. So if anyone else has a under $100 headphone suggestion, please help Mikey out and give him some suggestions. I'm just telling him my experiences with these. I've had them now probably for 4 weeks, and I'm liking them so far. So far, so good. But yeah, on channel 14, I am getting a little hum, and yeah, I just got to get through it. I still haven't replaced all my USB cables. I'm going to do an order next payday, and I'm buying all shielded and grounded terminal cables on my Cat 5Es and all my USB cables to my computer. And I don't really need the workstation part. So I might move the computer over to the other side, the actual workstation part, and get that switching transformer a little further away from the wing rack and a little further away from the AG08 and all the other stuff that I'm using. So I think that's going to help. I want to qualify something, guys. I'm old school. So if you look right here, this is my XT. This is a Mayato. Let me get my camera. Excuse the shakiness. So this is my time clock. Okay, that's what this unit is here, and you can see that it's not on right now. I don't have the whole system wired back up. So I want to kind of go over how I did things back in the day. Okay, and if you guys are old school, and you're from the ADAT days and the M1 days, you might recognize this. Concept Electronics. Okay. It's Cooper Electronics. It's a PPS2 synchronizer. And you have a couple different formats here. Okay. Stripe, read, and off. And then here's your inputs. Sync in, sync out, and your MIDI. This is old school. And this is what we used to use to sync things. Mini sync, to the Tascams, the ADATs, stuff like that. Now, just 2 ports. This Moto, or however you want to pronounce it, there's like there's ports all the way across the back. I want to say there's 8 ins and 8 outs. So it's 8 times what this thing does, plus it's a master clock. So this would actually lose a little bit, if that makes sense. But I keep this as a reminder. It sits up there on my shelf. It's old school. Would I ever use that thing ever? No, it's a paperweight at this point. But it's cool to go up and go, wow, I remember X. I wish I still had my ADATs. Would I ever use them? Nah. But it would be cool to go, yeah, here's my VHS tapes, and I've got 8 tracks on this one, 8 tracks on this one. The problem with it, even I had a TRS-8, which was a Tascam reel-to-reel. A lot of those tapes will stick. If they sit in a box, it'll get to the point where the tape bonds itself together. I don't have any of those tapes anymore, and I doubt very seriously that they would be any good.
Mr. Fat says, is it a dumb idea to change out my Fender acoustic amp speaker for one of those Jensen speakers so I can play electric guitar?
If you have an acoustic amp, the way it is voiced and EQ'd internally, it's for acoustic. So keep your acoustic amp for your acoustics, and just go out and buy an inexpensive guitar amp. A Katana 50 is a great little amplifier. If that's what you're wanting. You're gonna spend at least $100 on a Jensen speaker. I would look on Marketplace and try to find you a Katana, something like that, or maybe a Catalyst. I don't like the Catalyst as much, the Line 6 Catalyst, as the Katana. Linnell just put on layaway, we're making payments on a Fender GTX 100. She likes it because all the effects, everything's built in. She's going to turn one little knob, and it'll go from a Fender Tweed amp to a Marshall to a Sedano to maybe a Vox, to a Roland sound. One will be distorted. The next one will be, all the different sounds. Just click, 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 in a volume. Now, it still has tone controls, but she wants something. She plug her guitar in. Oh, I want clean. And she'll turn the knob and here's some dirt. Okay, here's something that with a spacey chorus and a lot of delay. It's non-usable in music, but it's cool to fart around with. That's what she wants. I mean, she's got the little Yamaha here, but there's so many knobs. You got to dial in the amount of reverb. You got to dial, and you've got it's not preset like that. The Fender's got 120 pre-made sounds with everything done for you. So that's the route she went. The only reason we didn't do the Katana is the Katana's a lot like this one. You don't have presets. You have different amp models, and then you go through and set your own reverbs and delays and stuff like that. So if you want to be able to fiddle around with it and just have a knob to turn,
I just prefer the one knob and go.
Yeah, I would go Katana if you want to mess around. If you just want something that you can turn a knob and get a sound, go with the Fender. But keep in mind, with the Fender, you can go into the menu and you can adjust all that stuff far more than you can on the Katana. It's accessible from the top. Both units you can plug into a computer and have access to all that stuff. It really depends on what you're wanting to do. I don't think anyone's going to disagree. Maybe get a little Spark. I hear great things about the little Spark amps. I don't know how expensive those are. Maybe look at a Spark. But taking a guitar, a driver designed for electric guitar and sticking it in an acoustic amp isn't going to yield you the result I think that you're looking for. It's still going to be an acoustic amplifier with a regular guitar speaker in it. I like Jensen's. I played Jensen's for a little while. I don't mind Jensen drivers. And I've said this a lot. The cheapest upgrade you can make and to change your sound isn't your pickups and it's not your amplifier, it's your speaker. Your speakers change your sound more than anything. There's a V30 cabinet right here. That's a greenback cabinet, and I have a Penta cabinet right here. I don't change any settings on my amp, but if I change the cabinet, the amplifier sounds completely different. So if you've got a 112 combo amp and you're just not liking it, maybe do some research, figure out what it is is it too bassy, too tinny, too muddy. Do some research on the forums. You're not the first person with that combo amp. See what other people are doing and the results they're getting. Change the speaker. I'm a firm believer in that. The Katana is one that they claim really benefits with a better speaker. But the stock speaker, I think the unit sounds great. That's the issue with the Catalyst, the Line 6. The factory speaker is awful. The Katana comes with a better factory speaker. If you get a used Katana and it's dirt cheap, maybe put a Mojo Tone speaker in it and that amp will come to life. 100% come to life. The factory speaker is the bad part on that amplifier. I've heard it many, many times that the factory speaker is just no good. I would go with a Katana 50, and other people can chime in if you want a guitar amp, if you want an amplifier. If not, maybe look into a GP200 and a pair of headphones. Then you get all your effects in that. It depends on what direction you want to go. If you want to build an amplifier and you already have headphones, maybe go GP200 and then get yourself an FR cabinet or a powered PA speaker, plug it in, then there's your amplifier. Build on what you buy. A couple different options for you. Okay. Since we're going over topics, what do we have the next topic? I use my Spark the most. That's Brian Phillips.
Phillips.
Yeah. The Spark I hear is great. I've never played a Spark, so I can tell you that I have a Core ID 3 down in the basement. When I bought it, it was $89. It's a little tiny amp. For what it is, it does pretty good. It's a lot like this Yamaha, though. It's got small speakers, so it just sounds a little thin. I know they make a much bigger version. They make an ID4, which is version 4. And I want to say they have one with a 10 or 12-inch speaker. I don't know. The IDX Blackstar just come out with. I hear great things about that. I don't know what the cost is on that one.
Kurt said he was at his local music store and played through a Marshall Code 50, and he was super surprised at how good it was, and it got a ton of bad reviews.
Yeah, I've heard that a bunch. People saying the Code 50 is a nice amp. I have not played through one, but I've heard that. Sometimes things just get bad raps. The IDX I just talked about, Anderson's reviewed that, and they were like, pfft. So Blackstar was like, well, we're going to rewrite the firmware, the baseline on that amplifier. So if you buy one, there are 2 versions of that amplifier that you can load to it. The version that they rewrote for Anderson Music Company and the stock version. So you can always go back to the other one. If you have that amp and it's kind of maybe not doing it, or the EQ sounds funny, maybe go to their website and download the Anderson Music version. They changed the EQ and a couple of little things. Put that firmware on it. See if you like it. If you don't, just go back to the original firmware. That's the only amplifier that I can think of that they did that. That you can change it that drastically, and they have both versions available. But they rewrote it just for them.
Backwoods Billy says Ace's Tone, a Gibson LP custom with a Marshall amp, chorus pedal, phaser pedal, done.
Yep, I agree. If you have a good Marshall, it's hard to beat. The problem, and again, I'm going to say this, the problem with Marshall, even back when I played and everyone was booing Marshall, out of 10 Marshalls, there might be 2 good ones. The rest of them was just average. But there was always 2 that were great. And I'll say that about Gibson as well. A lot of Gibsons are just okay. But occasionally they just nail it. And they just knock it out of the park. And it's a phenomenal guitar. If you have that Gibson and that Marshall, you've got something that everyone dreams about. It's going into the store and finding it. You know, that's what you got to do. Don't order a Marshall online. Don't. If you plug into one and it sounds good, buy that one. Because the other one may not sound like that. The JCM 800s were bad for that. I don't know if the code, like what Kurt was talking about, I don't know how what the repeatability on that amp is as far as production. But Marshall and Gibson both just have that reputation. And a lot of people don't want to say that. And I'm sure the Friedmans, the Sedanos, and all the other ones, there's going to be better ones than others. It's just the nature of the beast, just like when we review guitars. There's going to be some that I get in that might be a little above average. There might be some that's a little below what the factory average is. So we got to kind of take all that into account, if that makes sense. When I do reviews, I always say that. I'm reviewing this one. I was fortunate enough, after reviewing Brian's Jim Jr., we bought another one. And this one has 0 problems that I found on Brian's guitar other than the neck, the fretboard. There seems to be a goo or whatever that is that when they put the inlays in, it's around the edge of the inlays. And it just didn't have enough hand time on it. I know what that neck can look like because I refinished Brian's Jim. I haven't done this one yet, but that's really the only 2 similarities. The back of Linnell's Jim is really smooth. The tremolo works good. Of course, it's got quantum pickups in it. I like the quantum pickups. It's a great guitar. She bought the hot pink red, just like Brian's. I think if I was going to get one, they don't have the yellow one anymore. I would probably get the white one. I know that's kind of like, they've got the pinky red color, white, and black. Those are the 3 colors. I think the yellow one was cool because it had green pickups. It kind of spiced it up a little bit. I think I would do the white one for me. But I like the guitar. And I'm not going to get one because I can play the nails. Isn't that awful? All right. What's next? Got a different amps and different speakers, mics. Yeah, you're if you're micing it into a PA, your distance from the cone and the microphone you choose will definitely drastically change your sound. And you may end up having to EQ your amp a little differently. That way the mic will pick up a sound to go to the front of house that you like more. What you hear on stage may not necessarily be what you like, but after it hits the mic, it then goes front of house and the board guy gets done with it, that might be the sound that you want. So it's two totally different things when you start making it. And it took me a long time to figure that out. It might sound like poop on stage, but it sounds good to the audience because that microphone is altering to what it hears, or it's altering your sound. And the board is amplifying what the mic is reproducing, not what your amp is reproducing. Even though it's supposed to be the same, it isn't. I don't want to give any advice on that because I always used an SM57 or an SM57 beta. There's 50,000 other microphones that do that job 10 times better for just a fraction more. If you want something bulletproof that you can never have to worry about breaking no matter what, it's hard to beat a Shure SM57. Hard to beat a Shure SM57 beta. And I think that's the main reason people still use it. It's just a microphone that you can beat the piss out of. You can plug it in, it's going to work. The drawback is it's not the greatest microphone, but it's going to work. So you gotta go. If I'm a professional musician, the 57 has been used more than any other mic. Most likely the sound guy is going to be familiar with that mic and know how to fix whatever's going on with it. Wherein if you go in with an AKG or something off the wall, he may have a little bit longer of a learning curve, and you might be in the third or fourth song before he gets you dialed in properly, if that makes sense. Okay, what's our next one, hon? Anything? I said tonight was going to be viewer night. Well, I see we're back up to 25. Please go down, hit the like button, consider subscribing. It's open night chat. If you've got a topic, let's talk about it. I can interject, and everyone in the chat interjects to whatever topic we're talking about.
Backwoods Billy said that that is the advantage of gigs, meeting other guitar players, sharing information. Music store playing around it is a process. A lot of young people today just playing online. They're missing the live experience and interaction with other musicians like those of us older seniors did in the 70s, 80s, etc.
I agree with that. And I think a lot of it's just, it comes down to what bars are doing now. It's hard, especially in my area, and I'm in Northern Virginia. It's hard to find bars acceptable to live music. There for a while, it was only karaoke or it was only open mic. That's what was going. They didn't want the band. If it was open mic, you had to have a solid group just in case no one showed up that could play. You had to have a core group that was going to show up every week to do something. And even that's disappeared now. And the places that do play, they want a quiet stage. So it is a lot different. I was doing open mic for about 6 years. And that was probably 10 years ago, maybe longer. It was probably longer. It was probably 12 to 15 years ago. And I did that and I enjoyed it. But sometimes you were playing whatever they wanted to hear or what this person got on stage, and you had to be able to conform pretty quickly. I learned a lot doing open mic, but I enjoyed it.
Devastator said, May says hello.
Oh. I don't know. I 100% agree. Playing in front of people is completely different than in doing YouTube. There's always the interaction of people and what people do in a bar that influence how you play. Here, even though I'm playing to you guys, it's still a camera against the wall, if that makes sense. So I don't get facial expressions like, what was that note? You don't get that. I still try to go back and listen to every stream and make sure that I'm doing better. And I think you can hear it in my guitar playing, just how I've evolved, YouTube wise, if that makes sense. Would that work in the real world? I don't know. I think what I've learned on here would translate to playing out live. I know my ability to mix things and figure things out has gotten a little better, and I'm far from great at it, if that makes sense.
Mix it real good. Sorry, I'm just being weird.
That's a normal thing, honey. Oh, that's why I love her. You know, as musicians, we find that niche and we kind of go to it. If you're a Marshall guy and that's your amp, then that's your amp. Me, I don't really know what I am because I played an applied research technology preamp for so many years, and it has its own thing going on. I like the Sedano side of my rack mount amp, and I like the Friedman side of my rack mount amp. But that doesn't mean that they're far superior to the tube preamp in my art. And you guys are going to laugh. Whoa, why? You're going to compare that? I got a good sound out of my tube preamp in the art. Was it as good as the Friedman? Friedman just sounds different. Just like the Sedano has a little bit different punch, a little bit different attitude to it. But they were all good amplifiers. We take a lot of things for granted. I remember going out playing the first couple gigs. I was playing a Peavey Butcher head into a 4-speaker cabinet and some floor pedals. That was my rig. And then I went to a GSP-5 Digitech. Like that, and then I was hooked. No more floor pedals. Wasn't going to waste $130 on one pedal when I could buy a rack mount unit for $500. Okay, and then did it all. So once I went down into that rabbit hole, I just never went back to pedals. And I know guys that I played with. The last band I was in, the one guitar player, that's all he used was pedals. You couldn't talk him into a rack or a multi-effects unit. He liked his pedals. But he made it sound good. And at the end of the day, as long as it sounds good and you're happy with it, that's all that counts. If you're a pedal guy, great. I've thought so many times I'm going to get me a really nice Strymon reverb pedal because I want a pedal that kind of sounds like my Egnator. Something that sounds like what I hear in my head, what that Egnator does. I can't find it. And everyone says, I'll just get the Strymon. $360 for a reverb pedal is a tremendous amount of money. I can't justify that. Not for me. Especially now that I'm using the wing rack. It's got pretty decent reverb in it. I'm going to be happy with that. And we've already had a couple comments saying that it sounds professional. So I'm going to devote resources to other things like the cameras. English is hard. You're right. And I butcher it every day. Oh. I do feel that my sugar, we've actually been on an hour and 56 minutes, guys. If you don't know, I am a diabetic, and I did not get a snack. I had a drink. But I feel my sugar starting to go down. So I hate to say it, but you can see I'm starting to shake. I am going to have to end the stream because I'm going to have to get something to eat. Not today, but yesterday, you can ask Linnell. She packs Jolly Ranchers and stuff like that in my lunch. I was tearing Jolly Ranchers up all day. And about every 20 or 30 minutes, my sugar kept dropping. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I know I must have, I don't know how many she put in the bag, at least 15 or 20 that was in that bag that day. I ate them all. Plus the powdered donuts, the powdered sugar donuts.
You want me to just make you some cocoa?
Yeah, but it's going to be too late for that to kick in.
Okay.
All right, guys. I want to thank everyone for coming into the stream. I know this section was a little short. We went long on our first intermission, and Vox is like, I don't know if Vox is still in the chat. He's probably like, let's just do another intermission.
Yeah, he commented intermission.
I wish I could. Plus, I can't go super late tonight because I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I really need to cut Thursday nights a little short Last night we did a 2-hour stream. Do a 2-hour stream tonight. Saturday nights we can definitely go a little longer. But I want to thank everyone for coming in. The channel we are trying to grow the channel. So if you know someone that would be interested in coming and checking out the stream, tell a friend. Tell them that you found a YouTube channel that hopefully is a little different than what everyone else is doing. And they can come in, join the party, and contribute. That's what it's about. There's a couple different journeys going on. My journey with the wing, the journey with me learning to play this 4-string monstrosity that we call a guitar. We can all contribute to our learning. That's what I was talking about, what Nicholas did for me on the picks earlier. I truly think of all the things that I've changed in the last 10 years, changing the pick of all things, I think has helped me the most. And I want to definitely thank him for doing that. I was changing picks, but I never would have went from where I was at to this. I wouldn't have done that. And it would have taken me 10 years. And by the time I figured it out, it would have been too late. So thanks to him for sending that in and giving me the kick, to try something new. I think it's really helped me. And if you go back and listen, I think you can hear the difference just the pick has made in my playing. All right, guys. Want to thank again everyone for coming in. Thank your moderators for going over the chat. We've got a great group of people here. So the moderators, for the most part, have a pretty easy go of it, which I think is cool. I couldn't ask for a better group, guys. I really couldn't. If you left a super chat, thank you so much. That's what funds and supports this channel and allows the channel to buy things like microphones, the wing rack. I'm really depending on YouTube to pay for these purchases. YouTube, I don't make enough on YouTube to cover the wing, but it should cover 50% of it. As long as we don't give away another guitar, which we are. The other guitar should be coming in about 2 weeks when I make the last payment. So then I can go over March's guitar giveaway. So, and this week, we're going to start recording the repairs on the Washburn so that can go out within the next 30 days. And the winner of that guitar is in the chat. I want to thank him so much for being a channel member and contributing. So, and thanks to Steven for the guitar. So that's who donated the guitar for me to do a little work on and then give away. I say it all the time. I can't believe that what goes on, if that makes sense. All right, guys, we're going to do our 5-minute end chat. And then I'll see you guys on Saturday night. I got to pull up the window. Like I said, when my sugar gets a little wacky, I get a little wacky. But thanks again, guys. If you haven't, please hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing. If you missed the first part of the stream, just go back and rewatch it. And remember, comments, thumbs up, all that kind of helps YouTube push it out to somebody else find the channel. All right, guys, we're going to end it here. And thanks for coming. We'll see you Saturday night.